Assalamu alaikum and hello everyone. My name is Ashley Pearson Khan and today I am interviewing Yasmin Khan. For those of you who may not know, less than a week ago in London, Ontario, that's in Canada, a white terrorist decided to run over a family who was out walking. It was a family of five, and unfortunately, four of them did not make it. And there is a 9-year-old boy who survived that attack. So Yasmin Khan is with me. She's a close family friend, and she's here to talk about that. So thank you, Yasmin, for joining me, and my condolences to all of the friends and family who are grieving today. I think this has been a really big shock to everyone in Canada, and it's definitely been heard around the world. So my condolences, and World Hijab Day sends their condolences as well.
Thank you so much, Ashley. We really do appreciate it.
Great. So it's a tough subject to talk about. I don't think, typically we talk about the struggles that we face with hijab and things, and how those are happening all over the world. But unfortunately, things like this happen, and people send their prayers and things like that. And there's a lot of discussion at first, but we're really hoping for some change here. But I first wanted to talk about the family. You told me that you're a very close family friend, and so you know them. And just to kind of keep everybody safe, we're not mentioning any names, but I was hoping that you could tell us a little bit about the family so that people know, kind of have a sense of who they were.
So I've said this in every interview and all the news stations that I've been a part of, but they were the most kindest people out there. And I'm not joking. Like, you talk to anyone in the community, no one has one bad thing to say about them. They didn't hurt anyone. They wouldn't even hurt a bug. They would be like, no, it deserves to live. We can just move it out of here. And we can move it to the grass or something like that. They were that type of people. They were so kind and generous. When they found out, like, we're building new mosques here in London, they reached out and they were like, we want to donate right away. Like, tell us how to do it. What can we do? They were always willing to reach out and put their hand out and give. They were the most giving people I've ever met in my life. The older gentleman who passed away, he was the type of man that he would be running to the mosque for every single prayer, and he never missed one. Sorry, excuse me. But when Corona happened, obviously he wasn't able to, but he would try his best to pray in Jama'ah. He loved that, and he would try to reach out to his neighbors. He's like, let's pray together, And then I call her my sister, the wife that passed away, she could do everything. She literally, whatever she said she was going to do, she would do it. She was an amazing artist. She was an amazing chef. She did amazing things. And if you looked at her research that she did with Western, it was exceptional. It was things that you wouldn't even think about being researched about. Our little sister, she was that type of person that every time you saw her walking, every time you wherever you saw her, you'd see her eyes squinting, because now it's because of the mask, but you could tell she was always smiling. Even before Corona happened, she was smiling, and every time she would greet people, she'd give them a hug, and she'd be like, how are you? And this has been going on social media, but she left a legacy in her elementary school. She painted a mural for them, and in that you can tell, like, she was very artistic, and she had so many capabilities, like her mom. If she wanted to do something, she would give it her all. And then the grandmother that passed away, she was an artist. She had her master's in visual arts from Pakistan. And if you stepped into their house and you saw all the painting pieces, you would think that, oh my goodness, did you buy this from like some art show? Like this is probably worth $50,000. But she's like, no, I painted it. And it's like amazing things that she painted, and it's completely exceptional. And then our little boy, who's everyone's son now, he's the kid that you'd walk into his room or you'd walk into the house. You have to make sure you're looking down because there were cars everywhere. There were Lego pieces everywhere. And he loved them so much. He he was very, very attached to his family. Very attached. Yeah, that's pretty much it.
Well, thank you for sharing that. It sounds like such a nice family, and I think it's nice for people to kind of get to know a little bit about who they were. And honestly, it seems like there's been this really big outpouring of support, regardless of knowing who they were. And in regards to the 9-year-old boy, I hear that he's doing fairly well in the hospital. So can you give us a little update on that?
He's doing well. He's strong. There's people around him that are giving him all the support he needs. And when he is in a stable condition to leave the hospital, he has an immense amount of individuals that are there to take care of him. And I know there's a lot of people reaching out to me. And just to let you all know that he is doing well and he's strong, and just pray for him. I also have one more message that I want to share to the world. If you see his picture being shared, please make sure that it's taken down. We don't want the world to, when he comes out, we don't want the world to be like, oh my goodness, you're that kid. You know, and I'm pretty sure he wouldn't feel comfortable with that. And I'm pretty sure that my brother and sister who passed away, they wouldn't want that. He needs to walk freely, and he needs to walk with the pride that I'm walking freely and because my family saved me.
Yes, I believe I saw one picture, and even before that, people were sharing some photos of the family, and there was a rumor floating around that the family did not want photos, even of the deceased. And so I'm glad that you could confirm for us that
yes,
no photos should be shared, and also, for security reasons. And I can't imagine what he's going through, being 9 years old and losing your family like that. I wouldn't want my photo shared either. But it's nice to know that he's doing well, and he's got the support that he needs.
Yeah.
So, yeah, go ahead.
Sorry, there's a picture approved by CBC News. It's the Canadian Broadcast Channel, and they've said that, like, we've approved that they can use the picture of the 4 deceased individuals. It's a picture made. Otherwise, any other picture has not been approved. Any pictures without my sister's hijab is not allowed on the internet. If you see it, make sure it's taken down, and please refer them to me or any other family members.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
For a lot of people, I think that they don't know much about London, Ontario. In fact, I saw some confusion on the internet. When people see London, they think it's over in the UK. So I think everybody's learning now that what's taken place. I've seen the Prime Minister of Pakistan make a statement about it. I mean, this has been heard around the world. And so when I say there's an outpouring of support, it's not just Canadians. And so that's really nice to see. So I was wondering if you could tell us what London, Ontario was like. Were there incidences like this before? Because even since I've lived in Canada, I moved here at the very end of September. I have heard of a couple of things happening, but it was more like Alberta, Calgary, which I think are a little bit smaller areas, kind of more in the country, less city-like. But
Mhm.
what is London, Ontario like?
So London has a population of almost 400,000 individuals. We have a very strong Muslim community. It is continuously growing. We have to build more and more mosques. In regards to safety and Islamophobic experiences, I would say in the past 5 or 7 years, it's been on the rise. Unfortunately, there was a case where an individual was at the grocery store and she was holding her son, and a lady came to fight with her and almost pulled her hijab off. Um, and there's day-to-day experiences where people treat us differently because of our hijab, because of our brothers' beards, and but it's something, unfortunately, that has become normal. And we just let it go because at the end of the day, we know that there's better people out there. And it was just it and it wasn't that bad. I'd say majority of the people were very, very nice. And then you could walk on the street freely, like hijabi. Like I would walk at 1 a.m. alone in my neighborhood, and I'd be fine. It was nothing too serious. But after this happened, it's like I can't even walk with my own family because if something happened to my niece or nephew, I need someone to be alive for them. And yeah, and my mom has so much fear now. She's like, if you guys are gonna go on a walk, make sure there's like so much distance between you guys. Make sure there's a 3 meter distance between each person. That way, if anyone is affected, it's only one, not an entire family's wiped out. Because she's like, I don't know what I would do if I found out that another daughter is gone, another son is gone. So yeah.
Yeah, it's unfortunate that you have to have those conversations.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I've seen people post on Instagram and make TikToks about how when they're waiting for like the train, they make sure they stand all the way against the wall, not to stand too close to the tracks because they fear that somebody might see their hijab and push them in front of a train. I mean, these are the thoughts that people go through constantly and make them question taking their hijab off and things like that. And it is a struggle. You don't want those people who hate to see hijab and Muslims, win. But then I understand that there is fear out there and it's very real. Uh, I was very excited. I moved from the U.S. to Canada, and where I lived in the U.S., there wasn't just a huge Muslim population. I feel like Muslims in the U.S. they're very concentrated in certain states and areas, and so I was very excited to move here because I knew that there was a bigger Muslim population. And so I thought, well, people are more used to it and things are better. But honestly, now that I'm here, I see how much is covered up and not talked about in Canada. Um, and not even just Muslims, they found 215 bodies under a school of children, Indigenous children. And it's just like, Canada really covers up their racism and all of their issues, and it's really disappointing. And so I really hope that somebody's going to say something and somebody's going to make a change. It's unfortunate that it takes an incident like this. Um, and when I was talking to you earlier before we came on, I mentioned, in the U.S. racism has, of course, been there since the very beginning, and it took the death of George Floyd to start a movement, and things still are constantly being worked on. And I was just hoping that moving to Canada, it would be different, and unfortunately, it's just not. So it's definitely going to take all of us working together to do that. And I've seen a lot of activity um, in different areas of Canada where they're supporting you guys. I think that there's something happening in Mississauga Saturday evening. I think there's a candlelight vigil. So I see a lot of support still. So I hope that continues. But I did want to ask you how you think that the media and public officials are handling what happened?
So it's a lot of it's a very big range of many things. The media, some media outlets have said themselves like, you know what, this is a terrorist attack. Some media outlets have reached out to me and I've interviewed with them, but they're scared and they're like, just to let you know, because the police haven't called it a terrorist attack, we just want to be on the safe side and not say it. Deep down, we know it is, but we're just going to say it's a hate crime because we don't want to have conflict with the police. And I'm like, okay, but just to let you know, I'm going to call it a terrorist attack. And they're like, yes, you do, you sis. And what else? Yeah, and then there's certain news outlets on social media that are humanizing this individual. You know, I'm like, post his real picture. Don't post his picture that of him running track and field. Don't post his high school picture. Post him when who he really is. You know, and now people are giving him like excuses. They're like, oh, his steering wheel was messed up, and yeah, and individuals are lying. It didn't actually happen like this. And I'm just saying, I'm like, okay, for real? Are you really serious about this? And then we had one day when our vigil happened, the politicians came. Our Prime Minister Justin Trudeau, he gave his condolences, and he stood there with the family for a while, and he listened, but then he had to go. Then our Premier, Doug Ford, he came, and he listened, and he listened for a while, and he people were telling him, let's go, let's go. He's like, no, I need to listen to them. What do you want? How can we make a policy change? He was very attentive, and he was very respectful, and hopefully we see something different coming from the Conservative Party. The Conservative Party leader, the federal leader of the Conservative Party, he came, I do not know his name, but he tried to establish a relationship, but the individuals of the family called him out, and they were like, people in your party don't even like us. You know, they've voted against having a policy for anti-Islamophobic acts and attacks. And he was like, I'm going to work on that. I'm going to make sure we can establish a relationship with our Muslim brothers and sisters. And he walked away. Jameet Singh, we were waiting for him. We were waiting for him to come. He didn't come inside to give his condolences. We after the entire event, the family reached out to him twice. They approached him and he brushed them off. And I understand that he's done a lot of work to make sure there's an anti-racism campaign or something, some policy change. But so now I'm just feeling like it's a show. And because of all of this that's happening, I've realized that my purpose now, because of what's happening and what has happened, and now that I have all these connections with these news outlets, we can all gather together and we can create this policy change. We can push for this policy change. And it's not just going to be me, one person. We need to gather support. We need to ensure the safety of our brothers and sisters. We need to ensure that we do not feel fear when we walk out. We need to ensure that we can wear hijabs with pride. We need to ensure that individuals recognize that we have blood inside our bodies, that we have a heart, we have eyes, we have a brain. We know what we're exactly like you. We feel pain. We're literally the same. We're not animals. We're not some aliens. Just because I wear a hijab, just because I wear a piece of cloth on my head, it doesn't symbolize that this is a weapon. It's not going to hurt you in any way. This is me just practicing my religion. This is me just devoting myself to God. That's it.
I came across a quote, I guess you could say, on Instagram, and I thought it was really interesting. And it said, I'll read that. I hate the term Islamophobia because it implies that non-Muslims are in fear for their lives when in fact, it is Muslim people who are afraid. You don't have a phobia, you have hatred. And I was like, that is very true. I think when I look at the world and I look at these things that happen, it is people who are full of hate, and it causes us so much fear. I'm walking across a parking lot, I think yesterday, and I was thinking, I need to be careful. I need to be careful about where I'm standing and really watch for cars and things like that. And I do think about that sometimes. Even when I lived in the States, if I had to go to the grocery store alone at night, I was constantly looking over my shoulder because I was so afraid someone would attack me from behind. Because I know that if they do, they're going to go for my hijab first. So I'm really glad that you shared what happened with some of the politicians and things like that, because those are the people that we need to challenge and ask to make a change. What else do you think that we can do? Like, what happens next? What do we need to do to help make a change? And what can we do to help the family get justice, I guess you could say?
To help get the family justice, I will tell you that my sister would have not wanted any of our sisters to take their hijab off. She was the type of lady that she wore it with pride. She would always, whenever we would sit in a gathering, she would remember the ayahs from the Quran, and she would say, "This Allah has asked us to do this because it's a symbol of our religion." The women of Islam are so important, and we're the ones that carry religion from generations to generations. We're the ones who mainly tell people who we are, right? Because of our hijab. And she was that type of lady. And all I'm asking my sisters is, do not have any fear in this. Change that fear into pride. You know? Change and yeah, change that fear into pride. And if you want to carry a legacy, if we want to carry my sister's legacy, we need to keep these on. We need to show people who we really are. And we need to gather together and tell people that this is not right. And we need to hold each other's hand and walk together forward, non-Muslim or Muslim. We need to find a way to create a policy change. We need to find a way to create safety for our citizens in Canada. We need to find safety for our Muslims across the world. If our government is supporting the killings of Muslims around the world, how are we supposed to feel safe here? So we need to condemn those actions that are happening around the world. We need to make sure they stop doing that in order for us to feel safe and free.
Very well said. I definitely agree with you. We definitely have to keep the conversation going. I think that's one of the biggest things you can do is to keep talking about it and keep pushing for it. I also believe there's a donation link as well for the boy who survived, I think, to help him out. So I think we're also going to include that in our post. So we're going to save this live. It'll be on Facebook and YouTube. Yasmin, is there anything else that you want the world to know about this incident and what they can do? Is there anything else that you want to add?
I want people to know that, every time I think about it, it's like, of all the people, yes, no one deserves it. No one deserved to die. But of all the people who were out there in the community trying to make a change, they're gone. There were those type of people. And the moment we have fear, the moment we take our hijabs off, we put fear in ourselves, and we're not acting normal. We're not doing our normal things. In that moment, we're letting them win. If we do not stand together, we're letting them win. So right now, it's time to disregard religion, disregard race, disregard culture, and we need to stand together and move together to create change for everyone around the world. And it's important that we do that so we can be safe and we can do what my sister would have wanted us to do.
Exactly. Supporting one another is very important, especially in a time like this. But we have to do it all the time. We have to build each other up and be there for one another.
Yes.
Yasmin, thank you so much. I know it's not easy to talk about. It's a roller coaster of emotions, I'm sure, as we're all shocked at what has happened. But I really appreciate that you were here with us today to talk about it.
I appreciate that you reached out to me and to make this happen. Thank you so much.
Thank you. And thank you to everyone who watched today. We will have a link if you want to make a donation. This video, if you're still watching it live, will be on Facebook and YouTube. Please follow World Hijab Day, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube at World Hijab Day. And of course, our website at worldhijabday.com as we continue to do some different events and initiatives. So keep a lookout for those. And thank you all so much for watching. Assalamu alaikum.
Assalamu alaikum.